We started stream. All right. So take another couple of deep breaths quickly. Now say, forgive me.
Forgive me.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I love you. Take a deep breath. Say, forgive me.
Forgive me.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I love you.
I love you.
Another deep breath. Another deep breath. Another deep breath. Forgive me.
Forgive me.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I love you.
I love you.
Deep breath.
Right out of breath. I'm gonna have to hook up some oxygen here.
And that somebody said, hey, is that for us or for others? That's for primarily you, but it can apply to others. But if we can pray that prayer for ourselves, it affects everything.
Right.
So, hey, welcome everyone to Saturday Night Live. We kind of started our meeting and went on and we just kind of kicked it on in. I'm going to switch over to Debbie, and Debbie is going to be our MC. And let me get over to Debbie and let her take it away. So take it away, Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
And to finish that off, Doug, thank you very much for that breathing exercise there.
You're welcome.
I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to Saturday Night Live. Our mission statement and our passion and mission at Saturday Night Live is seeing lives transformed by helping people find a personal relationship with Jesus and to find freedom through Christ, being an example of love and acceptance. SNL is about recovery. SNL is a faith-based life recovery meeting. We're here for recovery. You do not have to accept Jesus to be part of the meeting. You just have to desire recovery. We thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to help you in recovery and to serve you in this way. And I'd like for everybody on our Zoom family here to kind of introduce yourselves so we know who's all here with us. And I'm Debbie, and we're glad you're here with us tonight on Facebook.
I'm Doug. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Doug.
I mean Doug too. I'm sorry. I'm John. John.
Miss Miracle.
Hi, Miracle.
Hi, Miracle.
Hello, Miracle. I'm trying to get to Zach.
Hey.
I'm Zach. Glad you guys are here.
Well,
And
glad
don't
you
forget,
made it.
I'm going to go to Lisa and give her a shot if she's there, but I don't.
She's not able.
Okay.
She's on. Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
So.
Did we
She's
get it? Hey, Jason,
multitasking.
what we got to get? Wait a second. We got to get to Jason. Jason's back behind here.
Jason.
Hey,
There's the Jason.
And I'm Doug. Hello, everyone. We're glad you're here with us at Saturday Night Live, Life Recovery Meeting, because life is messy and we want to help you in this messy life because we're all fellow strugglers, right, guys?
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I'm gonna go back to you, Debbie.
Well, that's nice of you. I thank you. And can we have the reading, though, of the 12 steps from Jason tonight?
Yes, you may. We got to make a switch here.
Bring him on up.
Woo, Jason.
Okay.
You go, Jason.
Awful big shoes to fit in there, Jason.
Okay, I'll do my best. Okay.
Yeah.
Step 1, we admitted that we are powerless over our problems and that our lives have become unmanageable. Romans 7:18, I know that nothing good lives in me. I want to do what is right, but I can't. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Philippians 2:13, God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases him. Step 3, we made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God. Romans 12:1, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. Step 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Lamentations 3:40, let us test and examine our ways. Let us turn back to the Lord. Step 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. James 5:16, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. Step 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. James 4:10, humble yourselves before the Lord and he will lift you up in honor. Step 7, we humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. 1 John 1:9, if we confess our sins to him, he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us from all wickedness. Step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Luke 6:31, do to others as you would like them to do to you. Step 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure us or would injure them or others. Matthew 5:23, if you are presenting a sacrifice at the altar and someone has something against you, leave your sacrifice there at the altar, go and be reconciled to that person. Then come and offer your sacrifice to God. Step 10, we continue to take personal inventory and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 1 Corinthians 10:12, if you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall. Step 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry it out. Colossians 4:2, devote yourselves to prayer with an alert mind and a thankful heart. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Galatians 6:1, dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you who are godly should gently and humbly help that person back into the right path and be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. Work the sexy, work if you work, and please welcome Doug.
Amen, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. That was very good.
Please welcome Debbie back. Sorry about that.
I had to get back into the saddle there. Sorry, Debbie.
Oh, that's all right. I was just thanking Jason. He
You're
did
welcome.
a very good job and just wanted everybody to give him a little hand there for being out there.
Yeah.
And are we ready for some step work from Zach?
Yeah.
We're ready to hear from you, Zach. You may
Yeah.
Yay, Zach. Yay, Zach.
Woo!
All right. You have to bear with me. I'm a little scratchy. So we're doing step 8 tonight. So I'm going to read the step here. So this is out of the Life Recovery Step, the Life Recovery Step Guide or Workbook. And so here we go. Step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And so, when I was working on this week, I had made quite a few comments last week and it's kind of the same. I guess I'm going to kind of talk about the same thing tonight. this step, we tend to focus on what we do to other people, and that's important. I mean, that's a huge part of the step, but equally important is making amends to ourselves, because the person we harm the most is ourselves, and we're usually last on our list most of our life. And if we really want to be healthy, that has to change, and we have to find some personal value and some self-worth, because if you don't have any of that, then you're not gonna be sober, stay sober. You're not gonna have to go after good things in your life, because you don't feel like you deserve them or that you should have them. And sometimes we have low self-esteem, or we have low opinions of ourselves, because the people that was supposed to instill those things in us as children, they weren't there, or they didn't know how to do it, or they just didn't do a good job, and we can spend our adult life being angry with those folks, but that's just wasted energy. And we would do ourselves a favor if we would put the energy into developing those skills and learning to love and value ourselves, instead of being angry and holding on to unforgiveness. And I think sometimes we almost think that it's bad to have personal self-worth and value, like it's a prideful thing. And so I'm not talking about being egotistical or being prideful. I'm just talking about, if God loves you, why? If you can't find anything within you that's any good, did God not put anything good in you? Well, God must have wanted you here for a reason at this time on earth, right now. You were important. He put you, of all the time that's already been and that is to come, he put you here right now. And he had a purpose for you. And you may say, well, I've messed all that up. I don't agree. We tend to think that if we haven't done everything right our whole life, that we've just messed the whole thing up. And the truth is the minute that we turn around and give God what we have, we're right on time. That's how he sees it. And he'll take what we give him and work with it. Amen. We don't have to be perfect. The question section we're working on today is overcoming loneliness, and there's 3 questions, and I'm going to focus on the top part is question 3, and that is, am I willing to forgive myself for the hurt I have caused others? And then it goes on to say about write a prayer about being willing to forgive and ask God for grace. Am I willing to forgive myself for the hurt that I've caused others? And I want to reference something I said last week about we're not the same people we used to be. I don't care if it's your first night in a recovery meeting. You're different than when you walked in. You made a healthy choice. Because I know me, when I chose to walk into a recovery meeting, I was choosing not to continue old behaviors. I was making a change. And so I was not the same person. I started to be somebody different. And every healthy choice we make, we become that different person even more. And we have to be careful that we don't look in the mirror today and judge the new us for what the old us did, because it's not the same person. You know, I can go and look in the mirror and I can rehash all the old mistakes I made, but the person in the mirror today is a lot different than the person in the mirror, 5, 10 years ago. It's a lot different. And then that person's even more different than the person, 15, 20 years ago. And we're worlds apart. And I would venture to say that you're worlds apart. And so, that's not you, that's the old you. And it's okay to recognize that. I'm responsible for my decisions. I'm accountable for what the old me and the new me does. I'm accountable because it's, but they're very different. And I can forgive myself easier when I recognize that I'm not the same person. If I change and continue to treat myself like the old guy, how you think that's going to work out for me? If I have 15 plus years sober, but if I still treated myself like I relapsed yesterday, and I was beating myself up emotionally and mentally, and down on myself and trashing myself all the time, that I was no good, not worth anything, how do you think that would work? We have to recognize that we're not the same people we used to be, and that's okay. That's healthy. And it's easier for me to forgive the things I did in the past because I didn't continue to be that person. I moved away from that. I changed. And you can change today. If you're still stuck doing some of that stuff that you don't want to do, you can change today. And I want to say that, I remember wanting so desperately to be somebody different. And I don't have it all figured out, and there's stuff I'm still working on. So I'm not trying to act like I have it figured out. I mean, I'm working on stuff today, and I'll probably work on stuff my whole life, and I'm a healthier individual, trying to get better every day. And I lost my train of thought there. Let me see if I can grab it. It was good too. I guess I was just trying to say that if I constantly treat myself like nothing has changed, then I'm not going to get very far. And that's what I got. So I'll hand it off to Debbie. Thank you.
Good, Zach.
Yes, thank you, Zach. That was very good. That was very, very good.
Hey, I want to throw something in here while we're here, Debbie, on what Zach said. And of course, it brings back that statement. I'm not what I used to be, and we have to accept that. And that's exactly what Zach said. I'm not what I used to be, but I'm not what I'm going to be. That's true, But we have to accept the fact that I'm not what I used to be. And sometimes people have struggled with that. Because we think that that's we have to identify with that old person, and that's what Zach was saying, and that and way I do that is I say that's what I did, but that's not who I really am. Yeah, I acted that way, and I'll take responsibility for that, but that's not who I am. That's what I did then. I have made some changes, just like Zach was talking about, and that I'm working towards a better future self, which is not to put pressure on yourself. It's just the fact that as long as we continue to deal with life and take responsibility for it, things will get better. Now, sometimes we don't think they will, because we always think that way. But the fact of it is, yet hasn't it for all of us?
Yes.
You have any other follow-up comments on that, Zach?
You know, I think that I like what you said. You know, it's what you did. It's not who you are. You know, and that's so important because we identify so much with the things that we do. You know, I'm, you know, therefore I'm bad. I do bad things, therefore I'm bad. You know, and that, you know, and if we carry that shame around, you know, then we just keep, that's what we are. So that's all I can do. And so we just continue to harm other people and harm ourselves. And you know, God doesn't make bad things, you know, and you know, the work that I do, I have the pleasure of meeting really, really wonderful people. You know, some of them have done some really, really awful things just like me, you know, but they're really, really wonderful people, you know, and it's, you know, we got to start being good to ourselves. You know, I think that we feel like if we're nice to ourselves, if we're good to ourselves, we're just gonna just lose it and just lose control and just become horrific. And it's just not reality. I don't know where we got that from, you know, and but like, you know, we talk a lot about being our own best friend at SNL, and that's kind of derived from Jordan Peterson. If I to treat myself like somebody I was responsible for caring for, you know, you're not mean to that person. You know, you don't discourage or manipulate or bash that person. You know, you're good to them. You know, if they're having a bad day, you don't make it worse. You know, you don't you don't add to. You try to relieve and alleviate some of that pressure. You know, man, oh man, if we could just practice that, I think it'd blow our mind what we could accomplish if we could just practice that.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, I get some criticism sometimes because I don't encourage people to stop using. I encourage people to heal whatever's pushing them to use. You know, like we talk about there's sobriety and there's recovery.
Right.
And we talk about that a lot at SNL, and because there's a reason we all escape. There's a reason we all numb out. You know, and we're going to keep doing that until whatever that thing is pushing us around, until we fix that, until we let God in there to heal that. You know, and I think I remember what I was going to say. You know, I do remember what I was going to say now.
It's too late. You can't say it.
I'm gonna do it anyway. We try really, really hard to fix ourselves, and if you could do it on your own, you've tried so hard that you would have already accomplished it because you've tried so hard. We all do. We all try hard. We don't ever talk about it. We act like we don't. You know, we're still partying, going to the bars, and still using and doing everything when no one's around. We hate that, and we really try to quit. Whatever it is that we do, whatever it is that we use, we try so hard to stop. And if you could do it on your own, you would have done it. You would have done it 10 times over by now because you've really, really, really tried. So you can't do it on your own, and you need some help. And God will help you. He'll help you even if you don't come to him. He'll
Yes.
help you even if you don't accept him.
Yes.
He'll help you. He'll help you even if you just use him.
Yes.
He'll help you. He'll help you because he loves you. And because he is the kind of God that he is, and because he loves you, and he'll help you anyway. Maybe you'll let him close enough that you'll love him back. And then you have a relationship. But he'll help you. And he'll put people in your life that you need. You may not always like them. It may not be the people you'd pick, but they're the people you need.
Yes.
And they'll help you too, because he didn't design this thing for us to do it alone. That's the way we like it. That's the way we like it, but that's not the way he designed it. So if you're out there tonight and you are trying like hell to fix it, to stop it, to change it, and you can't, it's not because you haven't tried. And maybe your family's telling you that, maybe that's what everybody thinks, but we know it ain't that way. And but God wants to help you. And he'll do it, no strings attached. He'll do it for free. You don't gotta. He isn't a tit for tat God. He'll help you, even if you don't believe in him. He'll help you because that's just the way he is. And if you let him, he'll put people in your life that'll help you.
Yes.
So that's what it was.
I have a question for you, Zach.
Okay.
You touched on it, and it was good, good, and that is, you talked about not asking people to deal with their stuff and heal, even if they're using. So usually the biggest drawback on that is that people have a hard time with shame and guilt about doing whatever it is they're doing, and so they have a hard time healing. And that goes with that question number 3 that you asked about also. How do we address this shame and guilt of what we're doing, and that, because that shame and guilt prevents us from healing. So what's your thoughts on that? And I hear Lisa in the background, so she can jump in on this too if she's got a thought.
Yeah, she says she has something. I'll just share with you what I share with folks, and then you can take it and spin it and everything. But even so shame and guilt usually comes from we're letting ourselves or our family or God down. Okay. And so we feel shame or guilt because we're not measuring up to our standard or our family standard or our loved one standard or God's standard, right? So we're letting somebody down, so we feel shame or guilt.
Well,
and
that's
then,
primarily guilt.
And so or if we repeatedly try and we fail, and so what I tell folks is that, you're what is important.
Yes.
You may not believe that. You may not be important to you, your family and their opinion, or God is and what he thinks, but you're what is important, and if your family doesn't see your suffering, and if you're not what's important when you're the one dying because you're the one using, and using is slow suicide is really what it is. And so I encourage folks, if their family is not helpful, to put some distance there.
Absolutely.
And that you have to do that sometimes, and that may hurt, but if they're not helpful, you're suffering and you're in danger right now, and you're what matters because you're hurting. Okay. And so, and God, it surprises me how many people I've talked to, atheists, they say they don't believe in God, but they feel like they let God down when they can't stop doing something, which is really interesting to me.
Yes.
But the reality of it is I tell people all the time, God cares more about you than whatever it is that you do.
Well, that's good. Say it again.
God cares more about you than whatever it is that you're doing.
One more time.
God cares more about you than whatever it is that you're doing. whatever sin that you're committing, whatever thing that you're not doing. He cares more about you. And people have a real hard time with that. God loves you. He cares more about you as a person, his child, than he does whatever you're doing wrong. He cares more about you. And that's the truth. He cares more about you than whatever you're doing. That's what he cares about. And so if he cares about you and why you're hurting, and he cares more about that than all you're doing, all the coping mechanisms and all the escaping and all the covering up, then that means he cares more about why you're hurting than he does your using.
So so to be more precise, how we deal with going ahead and continue to do what we're doing and get out from underneath that guilt and or shame?
All I can do is share my personal story and what I did. Part of my life is that a lot of times whatever we use to escape will keep us away from the people that love us and will keep us away from God, because we won't do them in his presence, right? Because we feel bad or it's sacrilegious or whatever, right? So when I had a problem with alcohol, I noticed that I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't go to church. I wouldn't read my Bible. I wouldn't do anything if I was drinking. And so one day I realized that the bad thing in my life I wanted to get rid of was keeping me from the good thing. And so I dared to do them at the same time. And I felt really bad for it. I felt bad because I had all this negative teaching in my head, right? Because I thought God was disappointed in me because I was drinking while I was reading my Bible. Because that's just not what you do, right? He doesn't approve. When the truth is that he was just.
You need to clarify that statement. He doesn't approve. That is.
That's sarcasm.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that was sarcasm because the truth is, as I was getting ready to say, is that all he cared about is that I was spending some time with him. He didn't care what state I was in.
Yeah.
He would take me as I am.
Yes.
And so the minute that I started reading my Bible while I was drinking, it was over then. And he knew it. I just let him in. I just let him in, and that's all he needed. And pretty soon I noticed that I was drinking less. I was drinking less. And pretty soon I wasn't drinking at all. The good things in your life will push all condemned, and I felt all bad. I didn't even know. It wasn't that I was trying real hard, and it wasn't that God was dealing with me and I was laying it down my life. Because he was working in me. And it
He said he lost connection, so take him a minute to get reconnected. While he's getting reconnected,
Hello, Lisa.
I'll share a little bit about what I was going to say. You asked about how do we be okay with the fact that we're still using substance, but working on our stuff. And I may date myself here, but I remember growing up when I was a kid watching a show, and it said, "Stick to the facts, ma'am, stick to the facts." And that's one of the things is our feelings up to this point have been one of our greatest deceivers in our life. And so when we start looking at the facts, then we look at our use is a fact, it's an evidence, it's a piece of the puzzle that we need to solve the problem.
Yes.
It's kind of like science. It goes in. So when you're using it, or when you use a substance, if you're able to get past to just look at the facts of, okay, I used, this is what led to that, and you stick to the facts, then you can start to identify those things that are leading you into that, and use that as a tool, to understand what things you need to heal. Sometimes being willing to just look at it that way and work on it can help you, get past that. But it's a big process of mindfulness, a lot of just, being present in the moment and being aware that your feelings of shame and guilt are that led by you feelings, and that feelings, can sometimes lead us astray. So if we can just turn our mind again, that catch it, check it, change it is a mindfulness tool, to where if we can catch it, check it, and change it into, okay, this is how I felt about it, and the reason I felt about it was because, and then state the facts, then that can actually help you get past those feelings.
And that's good, Lisa. Can I maybe use a little different terminology, which is the same thing, but just different words? And that
Absolutely.
is accepting reality the way that it is, and that my feelings are not probably based in reality. They're based in something other than reality, which is something that's not real. It's irrational. And we were talking about that before we came on with Miracle. You know, we know, and she was talking about she was stuck in something that she knows it's irrational, but she's still stuck with it. So she's punishing herself about her irrational behavior based on those irrational beliefs. And that's what you're saying, isn't it, Lisa?
Absolutely. If we can, take a deep breath, when we have those feelings, take a deep breath, and when you're in that moment when you're feeling overwhelmed and you're all in your feels, that's that catch it moment.
Yes.
That's the time when when you go, okay, I'm catching it, I'm in my feels, this is what's going on. And then we take a deep breath. This is that check it time. We've taken a deep breath, let's check it. Okay, is this reality? No. Okay, what is reality? Reality is that I'm making new life choices. These people are making unhealthy choices. I need to set boundaries. We start restating reality, and that pulls us out of that irrational emotional mind, and it pulls us into that reality state. But it also puts us in a place where when we start stating the facts and the reality, we also start restating our recovery and our purpose for our recovery.
Good.
We don't
Good.
realize we're doing that, but when we're going in and we're saying things like, I'm making changes, they are unhealthy, I'm setting boundaries.
Good.
When we start stating reality, we're stating reasons and validations for our recovery. So it's a great tool to use, as far as mindfulness goes, to help us in those moments.
Excellent. Zach, did you have anything you wanted to conclude on?
No, I think I said enough, and I got cut off. But I'm
Thank you,
excited
Doug.
to hear what Doug number 2 has to say.
Well, I wanted to say that your information that you were saying and some of the things that I want to talk about later is dealing right along what you and Lisa have been talking about, and about the information that I have is we're talking about overcoming loneliness and how it connects with guilt and shame, which I call them their running buddies, and that there is guilt. There's a healthy part of guilt and there's an unhealthy part of guilt. And then shame, there's nothing about shame that is healthy from what I understand and the way I see it, and all the information that I've ever seen. So anyway, I'll be hopefully been able to talk a little bit about that later. And so
Well, I know tonight that we're going long, but I just want to encourage you to go ahead and share tonight because it's good. And I know we've talked a lot, but don't let the clock run out on you. I think you need to share tonight. And we've had a lot of difficulties tonight. We're having difficulty now. Lisa's getting cut off. I can't share the Zoom tonight on Facebook. It says I can't boost post. I mean, I'm not trying to be, religious, but it just seems like someone doesn't want this to people to hear this tonight. So I think you definitely need to share what you have to say. And I used to
That's Lisa approved.
Because of my mental, physical, and sexual abuse, I used to wear, figuratively, I used to like put a coat of shame on every day when I left my house, as I thought I was just a tarnished or broken. I was dirty. I felt dirty, like I was a dirty person, like you couldn't wash it off. The things that had happened to me, and that was shame, and that isn't true. But I lived that way for a very, very long time, and that's a misery all its own. That's very unique. So if you have something to share tonight to help people with that, I want to encourage you to do that. So I'll be quiet now.
It's to you, Debbie.
Well, thank you, Zach. Yeah, that is some really good stuff there, and getting a lot out of it. But if maybe Doug too could come on with a little reflection about the loneliness there.
Okay. Like I said earlier, I mean, overcoming loneliness, Zach knows that the loneliness that I have had here lately, but it's really not physically damaged me. Mentally, it's in the back of my head, but I can't pronounce this book.
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, 4:9-12. The last time I relapsed was the Christmas party, and it took all I could do to get in there without being shamed, thinking I was going to be shamed and stuff. But it says two are better off than one because together they can work more effectively. If one of them falls, if one of them falls down, then the other can help him up. But if someone is alone and falls, it's just too bad because there is no one to help him. If it is cold, two can help sleep together and stay warm. But sleep together and I'm losing my lines here, stay warm. But how can you keep warm by yourself? Two men can resist an attack that would defeat one man alone. A rope made of 3 cords is hard to break. That really hit home, especially, I've been out of prison 10 years, and it took me 3 or 4 years to get one of my siblings, my sister that's been to the meeting, she finally realized that I was done. I was done doing everything I was doing. So I finally, got her love back, or whatever you call it. But this number one, how have I allowed isolation due to shame and guilt to keep me from supportive relationships? Well, blocking everything and everybody out, lack of communication, not calling nobody. Then the third one, the scripture, you ask and I'll receive, seek and I'll find, knock and door will be open. I forgive myself, and the grace of God will heal my relationship. So that was pretty short but sweet, I think. That's all I've got.
Good, Doug.
Thank you,
Good,
Doug.
number 2.
Appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, Doug. Yes,
You're
that was
welcome.
good. Thank you. And how about some Doug time then?
Yeah.
And,
All right, well, that sounds good. I want to give everybody else an opportunity to share if there's something that's been said so far that maybe you have a big idea or a thought. And Jason, we'll start with you because I forgot you last time. Did you have
Yeah.
anything you wanted to share?
I think he does.
Well, I like that the scripture like two is better than one. Like
Right.
That's really good. I need to reach out more. I need to stop isolating myself. Sometimes I feel like I isolate myself more, and I need to stop doing that. I need to get bold. So
All right.
I think that's all I have right now. So.
Okay. John, any thoughts, John?
Oh, John.
John's frozen, looks
Yeah.
like. Anybody else? Debbie?
Can I say just a few words, please?
Yes.
Okay, what you were talking about, earlier about you're not where you used to be, and you're not where you're at. That's what my theme is. I'm not where I used to be. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be.
Okay, very good. John, your back looks like you're unfrozen. If you move, wave at me. Debbie, did you have any comments that you want to make before we go on?
No, the only thing is I'd like you to kind of explain again the difference in between the guilt and the shame and how the two are different and come in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I tell you what I'll do. Well, let's just start and let me just start. How about that? And I've got about 7 minutes, and we will probably go a little bit over. So take a deep breath.
You got like 47 minutes.
Yeah, he said 7 minutes.
I say
Zach?
keep going. It's good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, Zach's got it going.
Thank you, guys. Well, Zach, you act like you're feeling better. I think as the further you went, you got it going there. Hey, Zach, do you have any comments on anything that we've had so far? No, you just.
It's all good. I think I've talked enough. I like what Doug number 2 said there. I know it's hard to share personal stuff, and you did good there, bud. And I think it's an important topic tonight. So I know that you're worried about that clock, and I really feel encouraged to encourage you not to worry about it. So I'm feeling pretty rough, and I'm hanging out. So I'm gonna stick in here with you. So you do what you need to do. So
Okay.
He's not even whining or anything, Doug. I say go with it.
No, he's not.
Okay. All right. You guys, I'm glad. Thank you everyone for being here. And by the way, Zach, I have several people that's shown up on my watch party, and Toby said, when you were talking, amen, that's powerful. And I've had several others comment. I'm trying to do that, with everything else, and you know how that is, right? So anyway, let me see if I can bear down and get my thoughts focused here. And the topic is overcoming loneliness. And at step 8, we have made a list of all persons we have harmed and become willing. I circled become willing, and that's a big step for a lot of us, right? Become willing to make amends to them all. That doesn't mean we're going to make amends. We're becoming willing to do that. Yeah. And so here we are, overcoming loneliness, and loneliness is such a big deal. In fact, some information that I received by studying here in the last couple of days that they said that that in the United States, there are between 40 and 48% of our population is suffering from loneliness. Now, and I think that was before the virus situation. It's probably way more than that now. I would bet money on that, and that that loneliness causes um, causes physical or medical problems. It causes physiological issues in the body. In fact, they said that it is more detrimental, causing the loss of life than obesity. I think they said that obesity was around 25%, and that loneliness was up in the 40s. That actually shortens your life. That's interesting facts, and I'm sure there's various different ones that say different things. But anyway, loneliness is a lot. The book says that loneliness and isolation goes along with guilt and shame. We feel that we are or that we have done. We feel guilt and shame about who we are or what we've done. Now, I'm going to jump. Well, let me read this next line. We may feel cut off from others. And this is talking about loneliness here. We may feel cut off from others, that we feel lonely even when we are around other people, right? We can feel lonely even when we're around people. So loneliness is not a mental illness, but loneliness can affect, from what I understand, or precipitate some mental illness.
Yes.
Like depression and other things. Okay. So we feel cut off, and then we have guilt, we have fear of being hurt, we have self-hatred. Anybody have ever heard anybody that's had self-hatred?
Yeah.
Can make us unable to believe in the love others have for us. Doug was talking about earlier, Doug number 2 there, about the importance of the triple braided cord. And that means we was talking about having somebody with you to help keep you warm, or emotionally be able to address a problem. If two are in a fight, they can have each other's back and have a better potential outcome, where one could be easily attacked and defeated. And that a triple braided cord, and let me just say that means you and someone, either a sponsor or a friend or a partner, a mate, and of course God. A triple braided cord is not easily broken in life and in recovery.
Uh-huh.
How you like that statement?
Okay.
And being willing to accept other people's love. See, we want other people to love us and accept us, but we're so afraid of accepting that love and acceptance.
Yes, sir.
And so what we need to do is we have to be aware that I want it, but I don't accept it. I understand that, and most of us understand that, because as we talked about last week, hurting people hurt people, and so we guard ourselves. We know what we want, but we won't. We tell ourselves one of the 3 beliefs is that I can't have what it is I want. I believe that I can't have what it is that I desire. I believe that I don't deserve that, or I'm not enough to have it. And I believe my own lie that I give myself. Does that make sense? So let's go forward. So when we're getting ready to make amends, we're talking about making amends here, step 8.
Yeah.
And when we try to make that amends, and we're wanting to make that amends, but we're not always prepared for them to, we want them to forgive us, but we're really not ready for them to forgive us because we're not really ready to accept that love. I remember a story that one of my professors told about a guy that he worked with, that he married a lady that was a really nice lady, but she had been in an abusive relationship beforehand, and he was nothing but kind and loving. But they had struggles all the time because the bottom line was, any time that he tried to love her, it actually caused her to repel him.
Huh.
And that's because of her own personal shame and her feelings, because she's used to the abuse, and love is extremely unfamiliar. There's something to think about. So
Yeah. Hey, Doug.
yes.
I was just going to say, I think a lot of the times when we're not ready when you say we're not ready for that forgiveness, I think sometimes we want it desperately, but at the same time, if we were to get it, we're so afraid, well, what if I mess this up? We don't trust, we desperately crave that forgiveness, but we still not worked on the trust for ourselves. So we don't trust ourselves to make healthy choices yet, but we want somebody else to forgive us and trust us when we don't trust ourselves. And so that becomes a trap, and and then comes fear. And again, it goes back into that whole emotional trap that I talked about. Those our feelings take over, and we
Yes.
have to learn to breathe through those and start going to state reality. Well, I'm making healthier choices. I'm making different decisions and to do those things, but we're just not prepared because we're so scared about, well, what happens if, or sometimes we're scared about what if they don't.
Right.
And that goes with the statement that I made earlier about the guilt, the fear of being hurt, which is exactly what you talked about there, Lisa, and self-hatred. We are convinced that that's my life and that's the way it's going to be, and it's always got to be that way, and I will never change and the world will never change, and we accept that lie. And then we try to live that lie out. And it's not what we want, but that's what we have accepted that lie. That's the reason why it's so important here that we look at reality and say, I want to run my life based on the truth, even though maybe right now we're not even sure what the truth is. But if we'll go ahead and challenge ourselves and ask that question, we can start digging down through that, because we can say, what I'm believing, is it the truth? Is it absolutely the truth? And if we have enough inside of us to know that that is not the truth, then that means you have enough truth in you already to start turning it around. Now, this is not easy, okay, but it's healthy. It's easier than staying where you're at, okay? Because what you're going to do is eventually fall into that state, if you're not already there, into that state of nihilism, that nothing is possible or worth it. I might as well give up. And because you keep going further and further down. And because of your belief and what you're looking for, because you're not looking for anything. You want healthy things, but you're not looking for healthy things. There's a part of you that keeps connecting what it is that you don't want, because you're convinced that's all you can have. Now, I know that sounds weird. Think about it. All right. Just think about it. And let me go ahead and your question, Zach, was really a good question that you had. Question number 3: am I willing to forgive myself for the hurt I have caused others. And I wrote down here, big one. This is a big one. And we have to figure out that and that statement that we talked about earlier, I think can help us. That's what I did, but that's not who I am. And we have to focus on who I really am. I did it, but I didn't. There was a part of me that didn't like it. Yes, I did it. Yes, it may have made me feel good at the time, or it may have seemed like had some pleasure out of it. Whether it was sex, whether it was anger, whether it was violence, or whatever it was. Okay.
Ain't that a cop out? Wouldn't that be a cop out?
No, that would be reality. That's what you did.
Right.
Okay, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And because we all have these internal needs, and we look for ways to feed those needs, but the reality is, when we are not mentally, emotionally, and spiritually well, we normally then will seek out the unhealthy imitations to try to meet our need, because we have that driving hunger to meet that need, which I've never got back to, is the soul hunger that I want to address, but it's so important. And that's what we did. Okay, that didn't mean, and Zach said this, and I want to restate this. That doesn't mean that even though I did bad things, that I was a bad person. There's a difference between my person and my being and my doings. Okay, I did that. I have had to practice myself. I did that. I don't like what I did, but that's not really what I want to be. That's not who I am. That's what I don't choose to be that. I'm choosing to be something else. A better version of myself.
But what if you keep doing that?
And the only way, the answer to that, Doug, and I hear that often, because we're stuck in a pattern of what we know.
Right.
And just like Zach said earlier about his testimony, that he decided that it is better to go ahead and make change and do healthy things and connect in healthy ways, even though I'm doing unhealthy things. I remember a young lady that all of us know. Her name was Renita. One time we were sitting on a bench outside, and she was so upset because she had gotten clean and working on her life, turning things around, and she was all upset because she wanted to quit smoking, and she was upsetting herself so much about smoking that it was potentially going to shipwreck her. All right, it was going to run her over. It was going to cause so much overwhelming. She'd be so overwhelmed that she would eventually go into extreme unhealthy coping mechanisms to deal with her self-induced stress over smoking. Okay, not smoking is a good thing. And I told her, I said, you're not bothering God by smoking. He wants you. And if you set up a barrier that I can't have God because I'm smoking, you're separating you from God. And that's not what he wants. Stay with it. It will happen one of these days. Okay. But don't sabotage yourself with this internal pressure, that because you're saying I'm not good enough if I am doing X. Well, hey, if we just back up for a minute, there are a lot of stuff. If we're going to judge ourselves on all the X's, we're all in bad shape. Okay.
You know, I'm going to throw something in here real quick, Doug. You know, a lot of these things that we can't get over, we can't forgive ourselves for, these X's that you're talking about, we forget that, you know, we did those things when we were surviving.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, some people think, well, that's an excuse or something. And the truth is that no, we were surviving. You know, and you ever seen that? You ever seen that show, that TV show Survivor? You know, we were watching that whole show the other day. Kate and I, we liked it. We were watching it the other day, and so they take people from all walks of life and they put them on this island, right? And there's some people on that island, you know, and they're all of a sudden about day 4, they're willing to eat some bugs, and they wouldn't even touch a bug in the real world, you know, but they're like, okay, let's cook me up some bugs. You know, I'm hungry, you know, and I'm trying to set it to be funny, but the truth is that, you know, whenever we're not surviving anymore, it's easy to look back and take things out of context, you know, and a lot of the time, you know, we survive a lot longer than we have to, and we destroy some good things in our life because, you know, no one taps us on the shoulder and tells us we're safe. We can stop surviving now, you know, and so I mean, I'm going to be quiet because I don't want to take any more time, but I mean, I think that that's a lot of that needs to be thrown in our at least our mental, as we're thinking about this, is that a lot of these things that we do, these decisions we make, we're surviving our environment, you know, the people in our life, you know, our situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Zach. And I think I'll just go ahead and touch on some of that right now. And that is on guilt again. Guilt is that we have a healthy guilt. Let's put that way. Did you hear me, Debbie? Healthy guilt is where we have a belief that of things that are morally correct, and that we believe that is right, and we have we have an internal psychological discomfort to help us to get on that target, because most people, they want to do what's right. Okay, they want to be right, but they also have these other pulls that's going on that we've already talked about, these soul hungers, and so we have this internal mechanism that's trying to help us when I make a mistake, or I hurt somebody, or I've offended them, or I have broken the rules that I know that are healthy, rational, one more time, healthy, rational rules that I need to align with that truth, because that's truth. Okay, now I'm going to talk about real quickly here, and I'm talking about guilt versus shame, but we're still talking about guilt here, and that is unhealthy or unhelpful or unhealthy guilt is the feeling that I have, psychological, that discomfort that I feel about something that I believe that is irrational, that is maybe an extreme high standard, or that is not based in truth. Maybe I've always believed it, but it's not true. Anybody ever believed something that was not true? I thought it was true. Okay. And we don't realize that until we actually stop and say, well, what's the evidence that proves this belief? And we really have to go to work on it. And that's what Lisa was talking about earlier when she was talking about looking at your feelings and say, what is the truth? What is the evidence? Is this rational? And we have to focus on that. And you say, well, I don't always know. I can't. How can I do this? And sometimes that is true, but for most of us, often, if we will just take some time and ask the question, because I personally believe, I believe that Scripture says this, that the Scripture is true. In John says that if we seek the truth, that truth will make us free. If we'll know it, if we'll know that truth, not just intellectually, that we'll actually know the truth. But he said he would lead us and guide us into that truth. And if we ask him, he will give it to us. But sometimes when we're believing a lie, it's really hard. But we can, if we'll give it some time and settle down in it. And a good measure to figure some of this out is what I'm believing. Is it based on fear? If it's based on fear, you better take a second and third look at that. Okay. And so what we need to do is look at the guilt issue. Are those rational guilt, or are they irrational guilt? Are they healthy, or are they unhealthy? Okay. Am I trying to live a standard that's not realistic? Okay. My, Debbie was raised in a particular point of view as a younger person, and as she went along, some of that doctrine and dogma she looked at and said, "Now wait a minute, this doesn't really line up." Isn't that true, Debbie?
Yes.
Okay, and so and it's hard to change something that you were always that you were taught maybe from an early age, but we all must do that. And the chances are most of our internal conflict and our internal brokenness has to do with these distortions of reality that we have, and to begin to be able to heal, we have to recognize the truth. Because trying to live you know that you can't live your life based off of a lie, because if you live your life on a lie, it's going to continually have emotional chaos. Is that not the truth?
Yes.
And so what we have to do is we have to recognize that.
Hey, Doug.
we have, yes.
I was just going to share a little bit of my story that goes right along with what you're saying. I mean, it's identical. You were talking about believing those truths. And for me, for a very long time in my life, I believed the lie that I believed in my life is that it was all my fault. And I remember a time when Zach and I were talking, and he asked me one time, "Why is everything always your fault?" And I had no answer. I didn't understand that. And it sent me on my journey of healing and trying to figure that out. Why was everything all my fault? And so through lots and lots of counseling and work, I was able to come to a place where I realized that at a time in my life, the reason that belief was there is that at a time in my life when neural pathways in my brain was in development, I was being told that things were my fault. And so I developed at a very young age a belief that everything was my fault. And then that created beliefs of everything is my fault, feelings of guilt and shame because everything bad was always my fault. And then as an adult, having to change that belief to, it's not my fault. Everything is not my fault. These are things that have happened. I didn't cause this situation. I was involved in this situation, and talking about that, check it, change, catch it, check it, and change it, being able to use those tools to state reality. It was not my fault. This is what happened. And restating the new reality is it wasn't my fault, but it is my responsibility to deal with my emotions and my health and my well-being now. It is my responsibility to move forward and let those feelings of fault go. And so I have been able to now, I don't feel like everything is my fault. I am able to walk away and go, ooh, sorry you had such a train wreck, but how can I help you? And I don't have to say it's all my fault anymore. Um, but I still am able to walk up to the table and have ownership of this was my part in that without owning the whole situation. And so it's just, but all of that was based out of that fear and that lie that I believed for so long as a kid.
Good, good, very good. And you know, when you said it there, Lisa, it sounded so, it was sounds like such an easy transition, but it wasn't. It was a hard, painful transition, and it was a internal and external fight. Okay. Zach is about to fall out of his chair, and so but that's because it's not so much. I mean, yes, we do have a war on the outside, but it's the war on the inside. It's the poison that we have swallowed, and we believe, and we took it thinking it was helping me, and it's supposed to help me because they say it was helping me, but it's actually killing us.
Absolutely. I'm still to this day having to actively use tools and skills to turn those feelings off. Those feelings still rear up, they still come. But I now know that I have tools and I recognize them for what they are, which are false beliefs. When you made the statement about stating reality, I can now call them a false belief and
Good.
call them what they are because I can state reality. And so I recognize what they are. I can now call them what they are, and I now have the tools to deal with them. But I had to first be willing to say that that was a false reality, that was not real. And until I was willing to acknowledge that's not real, then I wouldn't be where I am today if I wasn't willing to let go of that false belief.
Excellent. Excellent. And that is the truth. And the thing of it is, we all have hidden from ourselves all kinds of false beliefs and lies. And we need to deal with them. And I'm not saying you have to go dig them up. You just, they will show up, and you have to be willing to ask yourself, is that rational? Is that irrational? Is that truth, or is that a lie? And you just need to listen to yourself. And if you have enough, you have enough inside of yourself, because the Holy Spirit is in there to give that to you, to help you to see that truth. It may just be a little piece of truth, but it's the beginning to begin to turn your life around, because when you know it is the truth and it's inside of you, it it came from God, it's there. It didn't come from outside, it came from this inside. It begins to give you something to stand on. It increases your hope. That doesn't mean it's easy. It's hard, it's painful, but it's healthy. You guys have to get sick of me saying that. So, but it's still the truth. And so let me conclude, because I haven't got to hardly any of my notes, but I just want to say here, guilt is often experienced when we act against our own values. And those are healthy values. Okay, that's when we have, and that's the healthy guilt. Okay. When we act against our unhealthy guilt, then that's when we have chaos. There's a lot of other words we could throw in there, but we'll just leave it there. Shame, on the other hand, is a deeply held belief about our unrighteousness or our unworthiness as a person. And again, a human, I heard this term today, a human is that division point of a you, that your being, and man, that flesh part of you, the humanness. And so we have the being part and the doing part, and we need to recognize there's a difference between the two. If you for the folks that are maybe more church focused and troubled by that, Apostle Paul stated that Romans chapter 7 around verse 14, and he stated the two parts, and that is, that part of me that wants to do right, but I keep doing what's wrong. He said, that I want to do, I don't do, and that I do is I don't want to do. Oh, wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death? And that is, that's, I'm going to use this terminology, that's as schizo as we can get. And that's all of our story. And besides that, even Apostle Paul was as mentally sound as the rest of us. And what does that mean? That's a cloaked way of saying that we all have mental issues. Because we all have dual stuff, at least dual stuff going on. And we have to deal with it. And the only way we can deal with it is by coming into reality the best that we can. And I want to say this, we can't get it all done in one minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 decade, probably, and probably not in one lifetime. But all we can do is we get better. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, step by step. It's a journey. In conclusion, anybody have any thoughts they'd like to share?
We are not human doings. We are human beings. I'm surprised you didn't say that. You shot all the way around it, but you didn't say it tonight.
Well, I was expecting you to take care of that, John. Thank you, John. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. All right. Hey, I want to thank everybody, and I'm going to may the Lord bless you and you all out there. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may His face shine upon you. And please make healthy choices. And one of the best healthy choices you could do is forgive yourself. God forgives you, and He will continue to forgive you. And if you're unsure about His forgiveness, just say, Father, forgive me, I'm sorry. And He forgives you. And He wants to work in you. And if you can't forgive yourself after God's forgiven you, who do you think you are? Don't play God. Let God be God and allow His grace to be in you. So thanks everybody for being here. And yes.
I'll see you tomorrow.
And church day tomorrow.
That's a
It'd be
threat.
good for everybody to be in church.
Did you catch that threat there, Doug?
What? Talking to me?
No, I was talking about you.
You say you talk big too, because you know you can't come and see me.
Love you all. Hey, Debbie,
Okay.
I'm going to you. You shut us down and I'll shut us off. How about that?
Thanks, Doug.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we thank everybody for being here with us tonight. And
Thank you for being here.
next week with us at Saturday Night Live, and be able to meet with us on Facebook. So we thank you.